Something's going to happen.
What? What's going to happen?
Something wonderful.
What?
I understand how you feel. You see, it's all very clear to me now. The whole thing. It's wonderful.
What's going to happen?
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
Something wonderful. Yeah, it has to do with the truck. So we're going to go out and take a look at the truck and talk about some of these modifications I've made and some of the things that I've always been kind of wanting and how I address that. Whenever I bought this truck, I got it to replace that F-150 that I had. And the F-150 was pretty much identical to this truck. Extended cab, long bed, two-wheel drive. I've had extended cab, long bed Fords since the early 2000s. Now, first one was like a 94. It had a 6-cylinder in it, and I got 256,000 miles out of it. And it was a work truck. I did small engine work, and I used it to commute. And then I went to my F-150 that had the V8. You guys seen that one? The subscribers have been with us for a while. That was a V8. It was a 302, and we used it to pull our pop-up camper, both pop-up campers. But then when we got this camper here, the RV, it's a little bit more weight than I really wanted to pull with that little 302. So I went with this one here. Now, since I've had this truck, you guys, again, that's been subscribing to me for some time now, you've seen tons of modifications. New tires, all new brakes, engine work galore, aftermarket oil coolers, bigger radiators, bigger radiator fans, transmission flushes and fills, rear end fluid changes, synthetic fluid changes, modifications in the back, adding the cap to it, getting it painted, adding the mirrors to it, the tow mirrors, adding rear view camera systems inside, all kinds of stuff. I mean, I've done a ton of work to this truck. Now, the only reason that I've had any reason to want to discuss this truck when we go full-time RVing and any deficiencies it might have has to do with basically two things. One of them is we're not going to go full-time RV for a few more years here, probably 2 to 3 more years. We could do it sooner, and we may do it sooner, but we didn't want the truck to have to sit. We hardly drive the thing. So that was one of the things, because we're being in Northeast Ohio here. You know, the rust has a tendency to attack these vehicles pretty heavily. And this one's starting to show its rust just a little bit. The other thing is it does have a lot of miles, even though this thing doesn't burn hardly any oil whatsoever. I think our 2,900 mile trip to Florida, I put in half a quart of oil. Even though this thing is a beast and it tows great and it's quiet and it's powerful, everything about it, it does have 185,000 miles on the engine. You can't tell driving it that it has that many miles because it runs so smooth and it's just so powerful, but it does. So that's always a concern. We were talking about getting a new engine for this just to make it bulletproof, and they're not very expensive. They're only about $3,000, and that would make this thing pretty much a bulletproof truck at that point. All except that we were wanting to do, and this comes to the last reason why we were concerned with this truck, is we wanted to do boondocking out west in some remote locations, and we also wanted to do some camping on the beach. And this is only a 2-wheel drive. Although this has 410 gears and it's a track lock rear end, it does have 2-wheel drive, and 2-wheel drive does pretty darn good, but we were looking at maybe going to a 4-wheel drive. Now, I could convert this one over to 4-wheel drive, but the work that's involved is quite a bit. So basically what we were looking for is this truck, 4-wheel drive, less miles, and less body corrosion, because it's going to be a couple years till we go full-time, and we want to make sure that this thing's in tip-top shape then. So how do we address that? Well, we were looking and looking for a truck just like this to meet all that criteria, but it just can't necessarily be found. So what did we do? Bam, that's what we did. You guys are looking at our new truck. This is going to be something that we're going to be using for quite a few years here, and we didn't go crazy with the truck. We kept it as basic as possible, and we basically bought the one that was on the lot. This is STX package, so it's got a little bit more chrome, a little bit more fancy stuff to it, but we weren't too concerned about that. I'm not 100% happy that it's a black color for obvious reasons, heat and trying to keep it clean. But this is going to fit the bill nicely. Now, of course, you can see there's no cap on it. I don't have a bed rug. Those things will have to be added at another time. But as far as the truck itself, I went with a gas engine because I am very happy with the gas engine that's at that truck over there. And this gas engine, although it's smaller, the engineering is much better on it. Okay, so don't this sound familiar, guys? If you don't know the difference between these trucks, this truck here is a 2019 F-250. It is a 3/4 ton truck. It does have the 10,000 pound package on it. It also has a camper package. It also has a snowplow package, which I don't really need that, but the camper package is nice. This thing is actually set up to where it's certified, if you wanted to accept a slide and camper in the back. But what it does is it gives you heavier spring in the back. The snowplow package gives you a heavier spring in the front. Then there's a stabilizer that's in the back on the suspension. The engine in this is a 6.2 liter gas engine. I believe that the horsepower is 385, something like that. And then more importantly, the number that I wanted to know is the torque, because torque is for towing, and the torque on this is 430 foot-pounds, and that happens right at about 3,500 RPMs. It is a smaller engine, so it works a little bit harder to produce that higher foot-pound rating, and it's a very, very good truck for towing. We don't need anything crazy big. As far as towing that little RV, that's not an issue. So now we're kind of looking towards this old truck. How does it compare? This one here, in the configuration that it has for conventional towing, can tow 12,500 pounds. This one here, in the configuration that it is from the factory, is rated for 10,000 pounds. However, it's an HD, and you can also you could probably get away with up to 12,000 pounds on it. I'm going to tell you right now that this has 430 pound-feet of torque. With the modifications that I did on this one, I bet you I have at least 430 pound-feet of torque on this one. Where this one has 430 pound-feet of torque coming in at 3,500 RPMs on the RPM gauge. This one gets its max torque at 2,400 RPM. So I'm used to having this thing just lug along in overdrive and tow whatever I need with the back loaded however I want. So as far as power's concerned and the way that it tows, this truck here, the old truck, is capable. It's very capable. However, because of the mileage and needing a four-wheel drive, that's why we went to this one. Now, as far as inside here, we've got quite a few features that actually came in the package, and we didn't necessarily, again, want that. It's just, it was such a good deal on the lot. One thing this has is a crap load of cameras on it. There's a camera in the front bumper, there's a camera on the back of the cab of the truck, there's a camera on the tailgate of the truck, and there's cameras on both mirrors. What that means is it gives you this unbelievable picture. It's called the Ultimate Tow Camera Package, but it simulates what this truck looks like overhead as you're navigating through stuff. Now, the other thing that it has, which is really cool, is tow haul mode. I also opted for the electronic locking rear end, so all I do is pull a knob out on the dash and it locks that rear end solid. I've had cars that I've welded the spider gears before, and it's just like that. It's kind of interesting how that feels. And getting into just the RV specific stuff, of course, it does have a built-in brake controller, and it also has the ability to add a camera for a trailer. Now, that's a package that I don't think I'm going to end up buying. Now, Ford's cameras that you add to the system to go on the back of the RV, it's a cabled system. So you got to run basically a 30-foot, 40-foot cable, whatever it is, all the way to the back of your RV. Not a big deal, but I don't think that I want to do that. Okay, now with that said, without having a camera all the way on the back of the RV, whenever I do eventually hook this up to the RV and I start setting this up to tow the RV, they have an option that you can put a decal on the A-frame of the RV over there, and once you get a bunch of measurements off of it, this thing simulates or shows you down the sides of your RV whenever you're backing and helps you out basically with obstacles. It's kind of nice. I don't need it. However, if Heidi wants to learn how to back the truck, you know, there's a couple ways to do it. The way that I've always done it and the way most people do it, or she can maybe utilize that camera system. One of the things on the truck that I'm not going to be used to is it's all aluminum. Everything's aluminum. It's all aluminum. It feels a lot like metal to me, you know, steel, but it's all aluminum. And that's going to make it to where I can't put my CB antenna up on the roof. That's kind of funny. But the other thing that they have is this fully boxed frame, and it's a huge frame. And not only is it fully boxed, but once it's complete, they dip it. They dip the whole frame in some sort of solution that attaches to it, and it's electrically adhered to it. It's kind of like electroplating. So the whole frame is all done inside and out, where a lot of these new trucks, they just put wax on the frame. This one's got that. Now you can see this extra helper spring. This is part of that camper package. Not a big deal though. I mean, I'm used to that. If you look on my old truck, because this is an HD truck, this HD truck had that same spring right there. It's pretty much identical. The springs are pretty much identical. Everything looks a lot alike. This truck does sit considerably higher, and I do have all-terrain wheels on here. I don't know how I'm going to like that, because I'm really used to my Michelins that are all season. They're M&S tires, mud and snow, and I'm going to tell you right now, these things are great in the rain. They are great for mileage. They last for a long time, and they go good in the snow. They go very good in the snow. I'm very pleased with them. They were on my old F-150. I bought them for my son's van, or he bought them for his van under my advice. So I'll have to deal with these all-terrains for a while and see how I like them. Being that it's a four-wheel drive, I might need it. I mean, I don't know. The truck is going to do everything that we want it to do, and it's going to be doing it for a long time. We did get an extended warranty, so I don't have to work on stuff, most likely. The warranty is how long again?
The warranty is 8 years.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many miles.
Like 100,000 miles or something
like that.
And of course it's through Ford, so nationwide. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, oh no, you're into a truck payment. Oh, it's horrible. Well, if you remember, we were talking about when we sell the house, maybe going out and buying a truck at that point. So it'd probably be best if I just get something now, since we're still at home, and make payments on it. Not a big deal. I mean, we could afford to make payments on something like this for the last 20 years. We just choose not to. I mean, we haven't leased anything since 2003. It's just not our nature. Usually we go with older vehicles. Now, for a lot of you guys that have tuned in, you know, and like seeing the repairs and stuff on the old Ford truck, sorry. I like doing the repairs on the truck and modifications too, but I've pretty much covered everything that I can, except for going to a $1,600 fuel injection system. I didn't want to make that commitment because I knew that the improvement really wasn't going to, outweigh the cost of $1,600 on that old truck. So, yeah, and I know the other thing everybody's going to ask is, oh, you're selling your old one. What are you going to sell it for? What are you going to sell it for? I don't know. It's probably going to be done locally here. We're going to clean it up. I'm going to have to remove stuff from the truck that I want to keep. Of course, we're going to transfer some of the stuff into the new truck. I don't know. We don't know. In the meantime, Heidi will drive it back and forth to work, or maybe we'll find another car for her once I sell my old truck. But
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I know whenever I seen Ray from Love Your RV, if you guys ever watch his channel, he had a truck he called Old Blue. And it's basically my truck, but he had a dually with a diesel in it. And I love that truck. That was a really nice truck. He went into a new truck, and I immediately said, I think you're going to be sorry about it. I don't think you're going to like that. And he, he politely answered, and I'm going to do the same. I don't think that I'm going to be 100% satisfied with the new truck. I don't think that I would be 100% satisfied with the old truck. I'm learning that whenever we went shopping for RVs, that we're never going to find the perfect RV. We know that. We're going to get darn close there eventually, but
you're talking about it already.
Already, I know. I'm already talking about a new RV. But it's the same with the truck. We knew that we were going to find the ideal, perfect truck. I don't think that's going to be out there. Now, in our last video, I discussed Ford coming out with that new 7-liter engine. I think they're calling it 7X is the code name for the plant for the engine. The problem is we needed to start making payments on something now so that whenever we do pay it off, it's not the full price of what a brand new one is. That's the first thing. The second thing is, whenever that new engine comes out, I'm sure it's going to be in pretty high demand, and they got to work the bugs out. It's going to take a couple years to work the bugs out of that engine. Probably about the 4-year mark that engine's been on the market, it's probably going to be a really good buy. And by then, maybe we're in a situation where we might want to trade in and go to, that. It's hard saying. It really is. But that's what we did. I mean, that's a huge step for us again, just like it was when we got this other F-250. As you've seen in the video that I have linked up above here, I'll put a card up above. That's whenever we got rid of the F-150 and all the reasons that we went into the F-250. And I've been extremely happy with that truck. We've done a lot of RVing with it, and I'll tell you, whenever we went on that trip to Florida, it was nothing. It was nothing to do. There was absolutely no problems whatsoever on any level. It was just enjoying ourselves, and that was all. This one here has a lot of nicey functions inside. Some of them we may use, some of them we may not. But, we got it as the package. And I got to give a special shout out to Jay Hetty. Jay, you know why? And I appreciate it, and we're going to send you off some decals here shortly.
Well, I'm pretty excited about the truck. I think it's going to be a little less stress off of Michael towing. Maybe.
I'm not very stressed normally.
Well, it's not that he's stressed. He
I'm always
listens
thinking
for
about
every little ting and noise, and so I think this will take a little less stress off for a bit.
I'm kind of excited that for Heidi, because she hardly has ever driven my other truck, and the F-150 prior to that too.
Right.
However,
I've been driving it for the last 2 days, and I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I grant you, there's a camera, but nonetheless, for all the people that's never had a camera before, and you're operating something as big as this, like a semi, versus my little Sable. I'm getting used to it, and I was barely used to the 97.
Yeah.
Because I didn't drive it that much.
Right. That truck. I mean, we added a bunch of stuff to it to make it as easy to drive as it is. But
I like the big mirrors.
Yeah. I've been talking about
like the
those
spot
tow mirrors.
mirrors. Those are actually awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. You could almost drive with just the spot mirrors on this new truck. I mean, that's
well, yeah, right.
I knew
for sure you could see everything.
I knew when I worked for Sears, some of the vans, even though they were much older than this, had those mirrors or a form of those mirrors, and I got used to them right away. That's why I continuously tried to update the mirrors that were on the old F-250, trying to get them to match. So, yeah, the mirrors, I mean, you got to see what you got to see.
For sure. But
yeah, we're both excited. And here's something. I'm 51. Heidi's going
48.
Heidi's 48. Oh yeah, you just had a birthday. That's why we're real close in age right now. This is the first new vehicle we just bought outright. We've leased new vehicles, and we bought a ton of cars. We've bought lots of vehicles. But this is the first brand new one that we bought, and it was pretty painless. We're glad that we did, and we're excited to see where this takes us. Now, unfortunately, I'm going to spend some money. You guys get to see some modifications, because I need to put a bed rug in the back, and I got to put a cap on it. So
yeah, we're going to put a cap instead of
the caps are expensive. They're like $2,000. I didn't realize they were so expensive. Oh well, we'll figure it out. So we wanted to share our excitement with you and our plans, and this is a different way to do things. Initially, we were going to take that old vehicle, build it up, make it really, really nice, and then go on the road with it, not having any payments or anything. But there's another way to get to that same thing with maybe a new truck. I mean, if you're not going to go full timing like us, for another 3 years, and I'm at home here, and the truck is not going to necessarily get driven a lot, why not get a new one, make payments on it, and get the thing paid down, and then when you sell your house, pay it off. Or maybe we'll just include the truck payment in whatever we do when we're full timing. I don't want a payment when we hit the road. We're not those type of people. So most likely what we're going to do is pay it off. We'll pay it off early. It's just our nature.
I think the best way to go full time though is to be
Debt-free. Absolutely. I don't think that there's an option for that unless you're working. Unless you're doing a lot of work on the road.
Right.
If you have a full-time job that you're going to do from the road, I mean, that's fine. I can understand that. But we're not. We want to relax as much as possible. So it's just a different way of going full-time and a different way to get what you need to go full-time. Yeah, we're going to have fun with this. So stay tuned for whatever I may do to the truck and our adventures. Now, we do have something coming up here, and we'll share that in a couple of days. I don't know how many days, about a week maybe. We'll share that with you. But for now, that's it. And as always,
Hope to see you out there.
Bye.
Bye.